Hey folks, it's Mike from the Pen Outpost. Today we are going to tackle the 5th ink in the second series of Colorverse's Project Ink series. Number 13. It has one of those unique names, of course. It is called Alpha Ursae, which stands for Alpha Ursae Majoris, or Ursa Major. That is a constellation known as the Greater Bear, I believe is what it's called. The entire constellation of Alpha Majoris is what you see on the label here. But part of that constellation is something known as an asterism, which is a grouping of stars that is not a constellation, but kind of displays as an object or a person. That is the Big Dipper. And the star is at the point of the Big Dipper, the Alpha Ursae Majoris. And a little tidbit, if you follow a line from the star below that star, that short little line on the end of the Dipper, if you follow it up, you will run into the North Star. So that's an easy way to find the North Star, as if the North Star wasn't easy to find to begin with. But so that's what we're working with, Alpha Ursae, if you want to pronounce it that way, or Alpha Ursae Majoris. This ink does some interesting things, and you'll see that as it dries. I'm going to try to get a relatively heavy swab. Okay, so you can see how it lays down as almost like a lavender gray. Let's let that time lapse go, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, I think that's about done. Let's take a look. You got a nice medium gray off the nib. And then if you look where that puddling occurred, you can see some interesting color variations in there. That's not exactly what you'd consider sheen. It's not going to show up as a sheen. It's just showing up as a result of the puddling and the pigments and dyes and what have you separating on the page. So like you can see, it's a pretty consistent color off the nib, but makes for an interesting swab. Now this is in the range of a cool gray, but it's kind of a middle gray. It's not too warm and it's not too cool. So I pulled a few different comparisons, and just the first comparison we're going to pull is Alpha Andromeda, because this is the one that showed up more as a blue. And the more I look at this, the more I think this is almost more of a blue than a gray. But I might have to change my categorization of that one. Either that, or I'm going to call it both blue and gray, so it'd be easier to find. But anyway, I also pulled CoStar. That's an earlier Colorverse release. Has a green undertone in it, so you can see some of this color in that puddling area there. Then we have, because I used this one when we did that ink, I pulled Fuyu Shogun, which has that kind of bluish, almost lavender, which you can see a little bit of in here. And then I pulled the other Iroshizuku, which is actually a little bit closer to this ink, even though this is definitely a grayer ink than that one. That kind of lavender warmth that you see in this ink is what shows up in that swab puddling there. So, all this, to-do that we're making about this little bit of color here really does not affect the use of the ink or the color of the ink coming off the nib. I mean, the label itself goes from lavender to gray. None of the other labels do that. So it's obviously an ink that has a little bit of a color shift, but for all intents and purposes, this is a gray ink, and it's a nice gray, a gray that could easily be used as a daily writer. So Project Series number 13, Alpha Ursae Majoris, or Alpha Uma, however you want to say it. It's available in a 3 milliliter sample and a 65 milliliter bottle at the Pen Outpost on eBay and the penoutpost.com. Thanks for watching.